So today from so Suksabai, Cambodia. Welcome back to another POPP-Cast, episode 12. We're on 12. That's 12 weeks deep. Thank you again to everyone who's joined me so far on this journey of the POP. This week we are joined by another Cambodia connoisseur, the one and only Randy. Randy, the one and only man of many talents. He's done many things here in Cambodia and has been here for many years. And we're going to bring him on and discuss his journey and the current things going on here in the kingdom. What's up, Randy? Hello.
Luke!
Hello,
Hey,
mate.
buddy.
How you doing?
Good, man. I'm sweating in a hot box here. I'm in my brother-in-law's bedroom. There's 3 mad children running around outside. And if we can get through this without being interrupted or one of them jumping through a window, we will be very lucky.
You'll be
How
fine.
you going?
But you're not in the kingdom at the moment, are you? You're in Australia.
I'm in Australia. I'm home I'm 2 months late to my niece's 5th birthday, actually. Um, she's
2 months
forgiven me.
late.
Yes, 2 months late. Things kept happening that wouldn't allow me to get away as soon as I wanted, but I think all is forgiven.
Cool. How's it been back home? You having a good time?
Yeah, man, it's been great. I went a week or two ago. I took my niece and my nephew to a festival called Island Vibe. It's on North Stradbroke Island here, and
North
it's a bit of
Straddy.
North Straddy. 3 days on the beach. No showers, camping, plenty of dancing, and discovery for the young fella. The 2-year-old was quite funny actually. He discovered the kind of the remains of a kangaroo on the side of the road,
Yeah.
the bones, and he picked up these bones and kind of held them close to his chest while we were waiting for this bus. And then as the bus came, he tried to hand them over to me. I said, mate, you can't. If you want those bones, they're your bones. You've got to carry them. I'm not carrying them for you. Anyway, he carried the bones on the bus. Everyone on the bus thought he was a freak. We got to the festival, and he carried the bones around for a couple of hours actually, and then he finally got sick of them, put them in my
What?
back pocket, and then he left me and went away with his mum for a little while. And the next time I saw him, he'd been attacked by green ants. And so I told him the reason that the green ants attacked him has been because he picked up those bones and then just kind of gave up on them. So he took the bones back off me from my back pocket and used them to kind of treat his legs where the green ant bites were, and then walked himself over to a corner of the festival and kind of laid the bones out there was 4 bones, and he kind of laid them out, I guess, in the formation that he thought that he'd found them in. And that was him saying goodbye to him and please don't hurt me again.
So
Black
a
magic.
lesson learned.
Yeah, I
Lesson
think
learned on black
I'm
magic.
sure I threw. Yeah, got
How
him
old is
started
he?
anyway. He's 2.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't have that thing growing up in London. I didn't have those kind of lessons growing up.
Yeah, you had the wrong uncles.
Yeah. Or yeah, there's not really many bones laying around on the streets of London. Well, there probably are, but not around the streets of Ashford State. You know what I mean? But anyway, thank you, Randy, for joining me today on the 12th episode of the Pop. Um,
Oh, it's an honor to be here, Luke.
and yeah, again, yeah, 12 deep, man. Thank you. I know you're in Australia. I know you're with your family, so thank you for taking some time out of your day. And thank you again for joining sharing that story of your nephew.
No worries. I have
Uh
some very important things to share with you.
yeah, important things. Lots of cool things going on. But to start, I suppose like what I ask everyone is you've been in the kingdom a long time. How many years now? You're over 10, no? In
I rocked up there
Cambodia?
in 2012.
2012. Okay, yeah, 12 years. 12 years in the
Yeah,
kingdom. That's a long time. But I think you're
geez,
on
I've
par with
become a.
with Andy who joined me. I think you're one of the longest expats who've joined me on here.
Yeah, I
But what
arrived as a
brought you
boy
here?
and now
Were you
have
just
grey hair.
were you just on the loop, like the traveling loop, and you found yourself
Uh,
here? Or did you
oh
plan
yeah,
to come here directly?
no, I was traveling around with my sister actually. We were backpacking. Actually we left Australia with my old man as well. The 3 of us went backpacking, and um, we went through KL and Thailand. My father learned how to throat sing off some Mongolian throat singers we
Oh,
met
nice.
in. He used to wake up every morning in the dorms going, I think I've got it. I think I've got it. That was freaking annoying though. So we got rid of him after a few months, and then
Yeah.
yeah, me and my sister ended up in Cambodia, and after a little while being there, decided that rather than use the plane money to get a plane home, we would use it to put a deposit on a rental and stick about for a while. And yeah,
All
that
right,
was
cool.
that long ago.
And what was it like a business or like residential? Just to chill.
Why did we stay?
Yeah, did you start a business when you forgot the plane
No,
ticket?
we No, we got a
Did you
house
start a
to just
business or
to
just
to sleep in,
just to
a
chill?
house to
Yeah.
sleep in, and then went looking for jobs. Um,
I mean, it was
yeah.
much cheaper back then. Supposed to rent a house back then. What up in Phnom Penh?
Yeah. Oh, geez, what I don't know. I think we were paying $300 or $400
Yeah.
for a house. Actually, the first one was on Norodom Boulevard,
Oh, nice.
not far from where the Odom Garden was. I'm sure it'd be worth a fortune now, but yeah, it was only a
Yeah.
couple $100 back then. Back then you were able to survive. Like in my first job, I think my original salary was only $600 or $700 a month, and it was a bit of a mission. But you could survive on that kind of just.
Oh man, I remember like 2009. There was like a general. Everything was like a thousand real. Everything was a thousand.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much. I just remember this so clearly. There wasn't really much. People. All right, cool. Technical difficulties over.
Technical difficulties.
The difficulties of the difficultness. Um, welcome back, mate. Sorry, yes, as we were saying, you were traveling with your dad, but you got bored of him. You sent him home. You and your sister got a house,
Yeah.
and from there you started working. And what was your
Yeah.
first job in Cambodia?
I had been a sports reporter in Australia and also in China, actually. And I went to the newspaper Cambodia Daily and asked them for a job, and they said, "We're not going to pay someone to write about sport here, but
Yeah,
if you want to come back in a little while, you can start as a copy editor."
yeah.
And yeah, so I started at the Cambodia Daily.
All right, cool, nice. And yes, your background is journalism, writing. You're a writer. You're a man of words.
Oh, you sound like my mother and my sister. They like to take the piss out of me by saying I'm a writer.
You're a man of words.
Yes, I'm a
Literary
writer.
genius. And how did you get into that, mate? Was that from school? Were you always interested in was it journalism that you started with, or was it more just I don't know, writing? Not did you write a novel first, or did you get into journalism straight away?
No, I all my family are horse breakers and trainers and jockeys and breeders,
Experience.
race horses, and I was that as well for a little while. But then
Mm,
I was working in a stable, and my mum came and give me a kick up the arse and kind of basically told me she didn't waste 20 years of food and effort to watch me kick horse shit around, and that I should go and study something. And I had always wanted to be. I was always a keen sportsman, and the time
mhm.
had passed for me to make a crust out of that. So I thought I'll go and study sports journalism and go to football matches and get paid in that way.
Awesome. And how much fun is that?
It was unreal, man. The first couple of years I spent as as a correspondent in southeast Queensland. So
Yeah.
I would cover for any Australians. I'd cover the Brisbane Broncos and the Gold Coast Titans and the Queensland Roar, the soccer, the rugby, the basketball, the racing, everything that happened kind of from Northern Rivers, New South Wales up to Brisbane. I covered,
Mhm.
which was beautiful. You went to basketball training one day, rugby training the next day, and then you went to a game on the weekend and wrote little stories about it. And
Yeah.
they weren't
Awesome,
as
man.
easy going, very easy going.
Yeah. Nice. No, I can relate. Like with the fights and you know the MC and yeah, I mean, it's to get, as your job to get to go to these awesome events, these sporting events, and of course, the more you do it, of course, I wasn't into. Well, I liked fighting, I like Kung Khmer, but I was never involved and knew the fighters and everything before I got involved. And I suppose the more time you spend in it, just becomes your world. But moving over here and starting journalism in Phnom Penh, and working for the paper over here, was it a bit of a, I don't know, culture shock? Was there a massive difference, or was it, quite similar?
No, totally different. I mean, the newsroom at the Cambodia Daily was it was half Cambodians and half foreigners, but was kind of run by, the editor in chief was a foreigner, and the
Yeah.
editors were obviously foreigners because it's an English language newspaper, and it was totally different. It was actually that Cambodia Daily newsroom has shaped a lot of really good journalists. Like I don't know,
Mhm.
it might seem bizarre, but from a tiny little paper in little old Cambodia, it was a really hard ass kind of newsroom because, you know, 12, 10 years ago, we were able to criticize, it was a real newspaper. You could criticize the government the way it needed to be every single day. But because of that, you had to be watertight. Everything had to be
Yeah,
correct.
exactly.
You couldn't afford to make a single mistake. And so, the kind of standards that were upheld in that newspaper were as good as anywhere in the world, I think. And you can see now that people that I worked with at the newspaper and who worked there before me and after me now work at places like the New York Times, Washington Post, Reuters,
Oh,
ABC
wow.
Australia, The Guardian, all the best or the best reputed media outlets in the world.
And is it
Um,
still running now, Cambodia Daily?
No, man, it got shut down in what was it, 2016. They got a
Okay.
big tax bill off the government, and the
Okay.
government didn't want to discuss the tax bill. They just wanted $10 million or pack your bags, and so the bags
Alright.
were packed.
Alright, fair enough. And,
Yeah.
after Cambodia Daily, where did you go next?
While I was working at the Daily, actually, I got into filmmaking a little bit,
Mhm.
and then I kind of actually spent a year or two kind of working on this film about overfishing and kind of a race to the bottom in the fisheries sector, and Vietnamese fishing vessels coming into Cambodia and kind of destroying the ocean and taking
This
all the
was a
fish. This, yes, Current Sea. Where'd you find
currency.
that? Yeah,
Found it on Tinternet.
yeah,
Currency, which, we've spoken about at length, before numerous times. I
yeah,
watched it years ago. I think it was, what, 2020 it came out?
yeah, yeah. I reckon.
2020? I think I watched it around, the time it came out. I think it was around the time I actually met you, to be honest. And it's
Right.
awesome. And yeah, it's,
Yeah.
and now it's available online, correct?
Yeah, it's actually just the other day, whoever bought it off us, I guess has finished making their money out of it, so they've now put it up on YouTube to be watched for free. Um, and
And
it
on
kinda gets,
StreamYard, correct? It's on StreamYard
uh,
also?
on yeah, sure, watch it on StreamYard, watch it wherever you like.
But it's a awesome, awesome documentary, and, I mean, you guys went deep. Hey, no pun intended. You guys went deep into, yeah, the illegal fishing trade, and, I mean, I'll let you explain more, but it was, pretty hectic what you went through at some times as well.
Yeah, it was quite wild. Some of the situations that we got into were, I mean, I love it, but, yeah,
Yeah.
it got pretty hairy at times. How the film came about was interesting. I was working at the newspaper still when I started on it, actually, and actually, no, I quit the newspaper to go because I found out about all this mad stuff going on down in the ocean,
Yeah.
completely lawless, carry on in the ocean. So I quit the newspaper with a little Sony A6000 camera and was like, "I've got to go and make a documentary about this crap," because at the time, there was a bunch of the Cambodian American returnees, guys who'd been sent
Mhm.
back from America by
Yep.
Obama. And they were kind of just hanging out on this island off the coast of Kep. And these guys, a lot of them have been in street gangs and been in prison,
Yep.
and they're
Exactly,
big,
yeah.
strong, tattooed, scary, looking dudes. And they would just hang out on this island off the coast of Kep, along with the British fella who's in the movie, and kind of um, the way that I perceived it at first was that they were just kind of good pirates. They'd hang out on the island and they'd wait to hear
Yeah.
Vietnamese boats come into Cambodia, and then they'd go and confront them. And the confrontations uh, often ended up in like some pretty serious uh,
You mean the
clashes,
point
violent.
you had gunfire at points and everything, it's like
Yeah, man. Like there. I mean, there's machetes and spear guns and Shanghais and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's guns involved. Sometimes, usually that's when the police are forced to turn up, though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
but it's a huge problem which is not discussed enough.
yeah,
The
I mean,
Vietnamese coming into Cambodian waters, and it's not just fishing. Can we just add? It's also
sh-
agriculture as well.
I mean,
Vietnamese coming into Cambodia and taking what is not theirs and then going back home.
yeah, I mean, you'll be popular with your listeners for saying that stuff, but uh, if the government hears us talking about this, I mean, this is the government's very cautious about the way that people speak about this kind of, it's a very sensitive topic, the Cambodia
Yeah.
Vietnam thing, and the way that anti-Vietnamese sentiment can be so easily drummed up in Cambodia, and so the government's very cautious to not let that get out of hand ever, and that was something that we deal with in this movie. And if you watch it and you're aware of this kind of scenario, you will pick up on it in the movie. But if you're not aware of it, you probably won't. There was a lot of stuff that we kind of had to dance around and leave out
Mhm,
and just kind of hint at. And if you understand, if you've been in Cambodia a while and you watch this movie, you'll pick up on a lot of the kind of sub text that we aren't able to actually say. Um, but yeah, it was really interesting. And one of the great, so when I first went to make the movie, I quit the paper and went on my own because I was like, I'm going to go and make a movie about this. And I had no
mhm.
skills as a filmmaker. I could take photos and shoot I shot video as a skateboarder as a kid, but that was about it. And then, believe it or not, I got down to the island and started to work on this film. And then, out of the blue, this American production crew gets in touch with me and says, "Hey, man, we've read some stories about the stuff that you write about in the ocean in Cambodia. We want to come and make a movie about it." And I'm going, "What? That's like
What?
I just started doing that." So then I'm
Awesome.
so then I'm awesome, yeah. So I'm thinking, because I get a bit I was like, this is my story. No one knows about this. I'm gonna want to do it myself, which is why I'd quit the job and gone there. So then I was kind of going, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to try and do this myself with my one little camera and my two hands, or let these pros come over and help? And I did. I said, yeah, come on, man, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
For your first
I'm really
movie on your little little
yeah,
Sony.
I'm really, really glad I did, because the final product, I mean, they'd come over for a couple of months and shoot, and then they'd go back to America and cut and edit and sort things out,
Yeah.
and then send me bits and pieces. And when I finally saw the final product, I went, "Holy shit!" It's really high quality. It's high
Yeah.
production
No,
value,
it's awesome.
and
It's
it
super,
looks
super
great.
good.
And can I just
No, you
say
should
one
be
more
very
thing about
proud of
it?
it.
One of the coolest things about it is that, so initially it was going to be about gangster violence, clashes and all of this kind of carry on, and probably got into the Khmerican kind of issue. But as we
Mhm,
went along, we found that this film would have much more value to not be that, and to be a more of an exploration of, how fishing, how the seafood that people eat comes about, right? And
mhm.
after we put the film out, one of the coolest things was the amount of Cambodians who came and said to me, like, yeah, it wasn't millions or hundreds of them, but even a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
of them is great. They would come to me and say, "Wow, man, thanks for making that. I didn't
Yeah, just
even
bringing
know
awareness to the
that."
topic.
Yeah, like,
It's
seafood's super popular, right? And prawns in particular. And this looks specifically at the boats that catch the prawns that
yeah.
everyone eats in Phnom Penh, and the amount of destruction, corruption, and violence that's behind every plate of prawns. I don't eat prawns anymore. Actually, I bullshit. I had a plate of them the other day on the Gold Coast, but it got me off seafood. It's quite uh, it's also an interesting kind of debate starter for the more the time goes on, and I watch the movie, it becomes a bit cringier to watch, as I'm sure
Mhm.
you'd be aware, partly because it's yourself. And over
Yeah.
the years, I've had people bring up, it's a good debate starter for things about, like, what do they call it? Like, um, white savior. So, that
Yeah.
I end up being a character in the film, and the other main character in the film is a white British dude. And I remember we showed it. It got showed once at a who was I can't remember. Someone showed it in Phnom Penh, and I was there to do questions. And actually a fellow journalist, um, stood up and had a little crack about it being, it's too male focused and had got this white savior kind of element to it, which I think it kind of does. But then we got into an interesting discussion about how, she it was a woman and she thought that it was a bit too blokey, the film, the two main characters are men, and it is a bit, the other character is a bit kind of, it is a bit of a tough guy, so she
But,
took,
look,
she,
I think no matter what, Randy, yeah, no matter what you do, man, you can't please everyone. No
I
matter
mean,
what you do,
the end of
no
the
matter what you
argument
do.
was that the guy who was doing the conservation happened to be a white man, and the person who found out about it and took the time to go and make the film happened to be a white man. And what do you want us to do? Sub in some other
I mean, yeah,
characters?
yeah. Look,
uh,
I think,
as an A side to that,
that was
though,
just a matter of, like, the stars aligning and you being able to show the world, what's going on. I mean, I think it's very sad that someone had to attack you like that, you know? I just, but that's just the
I'm
world,
still
man.
still affected by
That's
it,
just the world
obviously.
nowadays.
But the bottom line is actually the two biggest heroes in the film are two young Cambodian women who came to the island where we were making the film as kind of marine biology students, and
Mhm.
one of those, and the film actually captures their whole journey because it took us 4 years or so to make, and one of those young women is now the director of the NGO that is the number one marine conservation NGO in Cambodia, and the other girl, or she was a girl then, she's a woman now. She has written children's fictional, they're fictional books based on the truth
Yeah.
about the conservation stuff that she became familiar with while there. So it's a super cool. I mean, there's white dudes, there's Cambodian women, there's all kind, there's fish, and there's dolphins in Kep now. There's dolphins thanks to this
Yes.
conservation NGO,
I I spoke to the
Marine
guys
Conservation
the other
Cambodia.
day. I forgot
Pink
who I spoke
dolphins are
to.
back.
And there's like there's a pod of like 12 back. It's not just,
Yeah,
one's back. It's a whole pod, which is incredible. Yeah, I actually spoke to him the other day. I was trying to get them on the pop. Um, but I'm trying to find the right person to come on. But yeah, that's super exciting. So they're doing with them now. Okay, cool. Small Cambodia, man.
yeah.
So
They
you
also
after current
that
C, Randy. Sorry, no,
yeah.
carry on.
No, I mean,
Go on,
I don't
go
know
on.
how many more alsos I can have, but
No, you can have
since
many as you want, mate.
this NGO now at Marine Conservation Cambodia, who started out as this kind of like direct action NGO that did conservation in a way that the majority of conservation organisations frown upon and cannot do because of the way that they're structured and they're kind of
Mhm.
corporate and they have too much bureaucracy basically. Um, these guys who started as this kind of grassroots semi gangster setup, they now lead the way for marine conservation in Cambodia and have a big ADB contract now to do what they did in Kep along all of Cambodia's
Oh, okay.
coast.
These are the American guys you were talking about
Not
before.
actually, the American guys are mostly gone, but this is now led
Okay.
by Rachana, who's the young lady who came as a student while we were making the film, and then
That's
went on
who
to
was
become the head of the
recommended to
NGO.
come on and talk. Rachana was
Right?
recommended.
Yeah, she'd be the one you want to talk to for sure.
All right, cool. Rachana, if you're listening, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
she won't.
But
Yeah,
that's
there's
cool,
no
man.
messing with
But yeah,
her, man.
I mean, back to the Khmerican thing. I think it was interesting. Khmerican being Khmer American, those who were, a lot of were deported, and it's interesting that you said, during Obama. And I think a lot of people forget that it was Obama who deported so many people. Bearing in mind, a lot of these people had, say they'd done something wrong. They've done their time. And this is a massive shout out to the Khmer American people here in Cambodia. Like I've heard a lot of your stories, and it's crazy what happened during the Obama administration to a lot of Khmer Americans. I think I only learned about this in recent years. How many were deported over Obama's administration? It's nuts,
Yeah,
and they're the
deported
ones.
deported to a country that most of them had never lived in before, and plenty of them didn't speak the language, and plenty of them didn't even have any connections to family or friends here anymore. Basically, pulled out of prison cells, put on a plane, fucked back to Cambodia, and then walk off the plane and good luck, go for your life.
Oh, dude, I mean, I heard even worse than that. I have a friend of mine, he done his time. He done, I think it was, a 3-year stretch. And then, he was living a normal life after jail, like 5, 6 years. All of a
Right.
sudden, on his door, he opens his front door and they're like, "Yo, you're going back to Cambodia." He's just like,
You gotta
"Whoa, whoa,
go.
whoa, whoa, slow down, slow down." It was a weed charge. That's legal now. They're like, "Doesn't matter. It's a felony charge." So you're going back. And they put them on this is the craziest part. They got put on a G6 plane. Yeah?
Yeah.
A bunch of guys who've done their time, going flown back to a country they've never lived in. They get put on a G6 plane. They got handcuffed again. And a lot of them have finished their sentences. They're no longer criminals. And they put Domino's pizza in front of them on the G6 on the flight. But because of the handcuffs, they couldn't reach the pizza. So they sat
Don't get
there
me
just
started
looking
on
at
pigs,
Domino's
Luke.
the whole way back. And yeah, then they got back to Cambodia and didn't, like you said, they don't know anyone. Their families, you're not here anymore. Then it's great. They don't speak the language. It's crazy. Um, but
Absurd.
for these guys to be coming back and doing that, I mean, this is kind of want to get roundabout back to be
Right.
going down to Kep and looking after a country that they never lived in, that they only know from, probably by stories or very distant memories. To be protecting the land and doing like an awesome thing is awesome. It's commendable. So wherever
Yeah.
those guys are now, like massive, massive respect, massive
Puppet.
respect. Yeah,
Puppet
pop
was
it. I mean,
the director at one point. He's in the
pop it.
NGO in
I
the
thought you were saying like pop it.
documentary. Oh yeah, Pumpet.
Oh,
um,
pump it,
but yeah, no, puppet. I was saying puppet. I didn't.
pop
You
it.
thought I said pump it?
I thought you said pump it. Yeah.
We should make hip hop tunes together.
Oh, well, definitely. I think that'd be great. Lay down some lyrics, nice
Yeah, go
melodies.
on.
Yeah. All right
Yeah, I
now.
mean, for those guys, it was like a something. They weren't attached to. It was gave them something to attach themselves to and something to something to be a part of
Yeah.
and a way to do good, it was flawed as all conservation is in Cambodia, but look at them now.
Well, I think globally, mate.
They're
I don't want to say just Cambodia, but I think conservation is flawed kind of around the world. I mean, if we look
yeah,
at, I mean, yeah, we could go on for hours about that. That's a whole nother conversation. You can come
yeah,
back in a couple of weeks and talk about that.
mm,
But post currency, I mean, I know you do. You continued and you still do now work in the journalism field, and I know there's a lot of stuff that you do get up to, which like especially right now that you can't talk about, and I completely understand that because it's still ongoing, and you don't want to blow your blow your cover or anything like that. But nowadays, you don't still just work in journalism. You still so you nowadays you have also a restaurant and bar.
yeah. I do have a
Yeah,
restaurant and
which
bar.
you own with, some dear friends, which everyone
Chef,
knows, the one and only The Deck.
yeah, the deck.
Yeah,
Get down
The
there
Deck.
for $1.25 beer. Actually, get down there in the
Yeah.
morning and get Naan to make you a latte with the flour on top. He's
You
really
also
good at
you
that.
also do great food, and yes, I mean, but The Deck is very much, I think, a staple for most, expats who live in Phnom Penh, especially around TTP area. It's always
Right.
busy. You guys are always busy, be it, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You've always got people in there, and it's a good vibe. And like I said, it's just become a staple for a lot of people. Like where we're gonna meet, it's like The Deck.
The
It's one of those
deck.
places. Yeah,
There's
which you
there's
must be
still a
very
bit of
proud
a
of.
there's still a bit of a lingering kind of bad sentiment attached to the deck. I think from I don't know. I think it went a bit a bit a bit to shit during the COVID time, and we picked it up shortly after that. And I would like to say to anyone who ever barred the deck or said I'm never going back to the deck again, or and potentially with good reason, give it another try. She's all right. We've
Give it
painted
another
the
go.
walls, cleaned out all the muck, and
It's
yeah,
nice,
good
yeah.
good food and nice staff.
Fantastic. I was gonna say you got fantastic stuff. You got good food. You do an average burger.
We
Uh,
do average burgers,
nah, I'm
yeah.
just kidding, man. You do a good
And they're
burger.
at average prices
No,
as well
no,
though, Luke.
yeah, no, it's good. Everything. I love The Deck. I've done a quiz at The Deck many times. You got awesome
Yeah,
stuff. You got awesome products, and yeah, it's kind of like those. Yeah, it's kind of a staple. anyone moving to Cambodia? Because I know we have some viewers who are looking to move here and just kind of what the go is. Um, the deck. If you want to meet the expat community and meet some locals, go and check out the deck. You will not be
Or if you want to
disappointed.
get into a room that's cheap and easy, and you don't have to sign a contract to hang out in for a little minute while you look for your house, the deck.
Also, the deck. It's not just food, also beds. This
Yeah,
podcast has been sponsored by the deck.
it has. It has.
So you got how long you had the deck now? Three years, I want to say. Maybe 2
Yeah,
years.
nearly 3 years. The first year was a heap of fun. I mean, the idea when we bought it was to have parties and put
Mhm.
on good live music, and we did that. We really did that. We did it until the police wouldn't let us do it no more.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, we had some fascinating interactions with police. I love it actually. I love dealing with the cops. I can speak Khmer a bit, and I love
Yeah, you
pretending
speak very
I
good
can't. I'm
Khmer. You speak
listening
very good
to.
Khmer. Oh, so
Um,
this is why you haven't had live music in a while.
we haven't had lives. Yeah, we got called off. We got shut
Oh,
down.
fair enough. But you
Um,
are in quite a residential area, I suppose. So it's
yeah,
there's
it
someone
was well
staying
deserved. The shutdown,
there.
I would say, was a long time coming and very hard earned, well deserved shutdown
Well, it
for
hasn't really
live
changed
music.
much. You're consistently busy, like I said. So, but yeah,
Yeah, and we have
again,
quieter music now on Saturday evenings. No drum
yeah,
sets, no late finishes, no one more sets after the police shut us down. None of that. So
just acoustic vibes,
acoustic-ish, vibe-ishness.
acoustic-ish vibe. Nice one. So, are you working? Other than the deck, you're working independently now, journalism wise, but you're also very much involved in the community. And
Uh,
what I wanted to kind of get onto next was the AFL, which for
ah,
me, I am, I lived in Australia for a bit, but I
mm,
never really got into AFL. I never really got into Aussie rules. So I am useless at AFL. So let's start
right.
off by explaining AFL is not normal rugby.
Yeah, I also never got into AFL in Australia, and got into it by chance in Cambodia. I was out one night and ran into some Australian blokes, when I was first there, and one of them said, "Do you play footy?" And when he said footy, I thought he meant rugby league.
Yeah,
And so I went to meet him to play footy on Saturday. We used to go across Troichenbar Bridge to the old Navy field, and there was cows on the field and cow patties on the field, and we used to kick around with them. Um, and yeah, what is AFL? It's not rugby. It's played on a bigger field. It's like a chaotic. It's almost like UFC with a ball and less maybe less knockouts or something. There's very
yeah.
few rules. There's no offsides. You can kind of
Tackle
you
from
can
anywhere.
yeah, you can smack people who don't have the ball as long as they're close enough to it or the referee isn't watching.
Yeah,
Um, it's quite a wild sport, and I can understand that for people who don't know when they first look at it, it looks like what the hell is going on here.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
I still watch it now, and I'm confused at like where the ball's going, who's win, how wide is it stopped? Why we start? Okay, all right. I mean, NRL, I followed while I was in Australia. I mean, you don't really have a choice with NRL. I think if you're staying in Australia, you kind of have to follow it.
where
Otherwise,
you were in Australia, yeah, but if you were in
yeah.
Melbourne, you
Otherwise,
would
you're
have
just.
had no,
I never made it down, man. It was too.
yeah,
The climate was too much like London. I was scared to go there.
they're too fancy down there too. You should listen to them. Should hear the accents they speak with.
They sound like more like English than Australian, and I think it's
Yeah,
getting worse year by year.
like everything. Look,
Like everything, like everything. But so what? So you started playing on Choi Chang Va, you said. You started playing AFL with the cows,
yeah.
and
So
then from there, because I know there's a lot of boys in the city. I mean, not like I know many of the boys, especially a good friend of mine, Duncan, who plays with you guys. So
Duncan, the
that's
all
how
day
I kind of
ruckman.
that's how I kind of got to know that was just kind of like, oh no, it's quite a big scene here in
Yeah,
Cambodia, which I think is quite
yeah,
surprising for a lot of people that here in Cambodia, the AFL is, you can come here and get involved, you can watch it at loads of bars, you can play, you can get involved with the team.
yep.
Did that come about just by like what, just friends getting together?
Yeah, so I mean the club's called the Cambodia Eagles, and it was started maybe 15 years ago as kind of I mean, it's really just an excuse for Aussies to get together and drink piss and watch footy. That's that picture there. That's us back in maybe
There we are.
2012 or 13 or so.
Oh, look at
That's
you,
what the club.
you youngsters.
You look me down the bottom there, almost dying.
You're straight. You
Uh,
hung over. You look it.
no, we've probably just played football for about 8 hours in the tropical sun. And
Is this in Choi
yeah,
Chang Va? This picture?
no, that is, mate. I don't even know where that is. That could be anywhere in Southeast Asia. I
Yeah.
could find out, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure
quite
off the
literally.
top.
Yeah.
So you can see there. There's four Cambodian fellas there. Is there? Yeah.
Yep.
There's On, Darai, Nazi, and Kun. And so, I mean, let me tell you a little bit about how this works. So it's an Aussie rules club in Phnom Penh, and there's these exist kind of all around Asia and then all around the world as well. Wherever there's large populations of Australians living, there'll often be an Aussie rules club. And in the beginning, it was just 20 Australian dudes who'd get together, kick the ball, have a beer, watch the footy. And as time has progressed, and they'd also go to Bangkok or Saigon or wherever else, and then play matches against the dudes whoever had set up the Aussie Rules Club there.
Yep.
And in 2012, when we used to play on the cow paddock, we had we had 4 or 5 young Cambodian fellas come to start training with us, and they came through an NGO, a children's home that one of our blokes worked at, and they'd grown up on the rubbish dump in Stung Che as
Mhm.
scavenger kids. Their families moved from Prey Veng and go and live on the rubbish dump and pick shit out of the trash and sell it. And these kids started training with us, right? And they're tiny little skinny kids who have barely had a decent feed in their life. And there was just kind of 4 or 5 of them at the beginning, and we'd go around to play all the other countries, and we were the first ones to kind of really get the locals involved. So we'd go to play against
Mhm.
Vietnam or Malaysia or Thailand or whatever, and they'd be all Australians, and we'd have our handful of Cambodian guys who are 45 kilos and at the beginning didn't know a thing about Aussie rules.
How to play.
Um, but like fast forward to now, I mean, there's lots in between. In 2016 as well, we started a women's team, which has a lot to do with Hannah Slaughter, who's a prominent bar and chair dancer in the pubs around town. Um, we started a women's
And the
team, right?
women's
And so
team are the Cobras, right?
no, the women's team are the Apsaras.
The
Um,
Apsaras.
Yeah. So when we started this women's team, there was like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, Australian girls and maybe an English or 2 and a French girl who said, "Yeah, we want to play as well." And so we put the call out that we're going to start a women's team, and then we get down to the training, and there's a handful of Australian girls there. Emily Marquez was maybe there, and Kate Nixon, a few old heads were down there, and is this going to work? And then all of a sudden, you say tuk-tuk, it was like trucks, 2 trucks loaded with young Cambodian chicks rocked up. And I don't know about 30 of them pile out and go, right, we're here for the football.
Let's
And
play.
they were from the same communities that the boys were from. They were from Stung Min
Yeah.
Che. And so they'd heard, that if you go and play with this footy team, because part of the club's ethos is that the Cambodians play for free.
Mhm.
We want to share the love of and it's a mad, dangerous sport. So um, Cambodians train and play and travel for free. So I mean that's part of what gets them there for sure.
Yeah.
But then over the years they've really come to love it. And the Apsaras, which is what became the girls' team, they were the first women's footy team in Asia. Cambodia was, and they went and played. I think we went to Vietnam to play the first ever game, and Vietnam pulled together a team of like Gaelic football players and different Australian and Irish women who are in Vietnam doing different things. People who've been
Yeah.
playing contact sport their whole lives to play against our team of tiny little girls from Stung Min Che, and I mean, you and I guess all the listeners would be pretty well versed in. I mean, it's in Phnom Penh and in 2024, 25. You don't see it as much, but the culture around you know, the expectations for women in Cambodia certainly isn't that they'd go and run around in the sun in short shorts and short
Especially
sleeve
playing,
shirts
a game
playing
like
contact sport.
AFL. I mean, the same in like Kunkamai, Randy. I mean, we really, really, really need more female fighters. I mean, it's
Hmm.
when we do have a female fight, it's maybe once a month or across all the leagues. And there's bearing in mind there's 23 rings a week. We probably only see 4 a month
Right.
female fights. And again, but I think it's changing. It's changing. We're seeing
Yeah.
a change in the generation, like you are with AFL, and we are with
Yeah.
Kunkamai. We're seeing more and more women get involved, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But when you said like again for those who haven't been to Cambodia or don't have any Cambodian friends, they're very slight people. They're not. So here's a good picture to give people an idea. I mean, here's one of the girls up against who's
Yeah, that's our little goal pirate. So Leah, she's extremely good on the football field. She's kind of a forward pocket goal sneak. She's even better on the dance floor, actually.
yeah,
Um, but if you zoom in on that picture, you can see the look like so that the girl that she's against would be either Australian or Irish, and clearly she's a foot or two taller than her, and
yeah,
and
maybe
and
two.
twice her size. And if you
Yeah,
zoom in and see the looks on their faces, it perfectly describes this football team, the Cambodian Apsaras. You know, that big girl is looking down at Leah and almost snarling at her, like, how dare you stand next to me on a sporting field? And Leop's looking up at her, and you can just kind of see that she's just giving her the cheeky grin that says, "You might be bigger, but I'm going to smoke you in a minute."
and they
And they
do. I
do,
mean, look
man.
look at the girls.
Yes, this is the hit squad. So we rock up to the tournaments, right? And the girls, our women's team is there's Hannah and there's Mathilde. There's three or
Mhm.
four expats, and then the rest, the other 15 or 20, are all Cambodian girls, and they're all tiny and they're all fearless. And I mean, you can hear me getting excited now. It's one of the most exciting things in my life is being a part of the kind of coaching team and the mentoring team for these girls, and
Look
watching them
back.
go out there and just give it absolutely everything. Like the amount of times you've seen, these big Australian girls make a break and then they're running down a field with three or four of the Khmer girls literally will be hanging on to them, and then the fifth one will come in and finish them off. And then the other really cool thing is that we joke about, these Khmer
Oh,
girls,
this
they
is the
smoke
best.
they smoke women that are twice their size, and then they stop and kind of apologize and help them up and have a
Apologize.
laugh.
Yeah.
They do, man. They
I
do.
think
They
that's I think
seriously
that's
do.
that that's, yeah, I mean, we see that across all the sports, like, here in Cambodia. I mean, they're so, so gracious. You see, Kunkumai fights, and they're so, so gracious, and they'll literally knock each other flat out, and then, help the guy up before they celebrate, you know,
Yeah,
and, then he'll be check he's okay, and everything's cool, then he'll celebrate.
yeah.
Um,
It's beautiful, and it surprises opposition teammates. They don't know how to take it. They don't know what's happening,
yeah,
and
it's like a mind game.
yeah,
Why they're being so nice, what they're gonna do next. But here are the girls.
that's the girls' team there. Yeah, so you can see
Yeah,
there's Mathilde, she's French, and there's Hannah, she's Australian, and there's Gemma, also Australian, and the rest are Cambodian girls. And yeah,
amazing.
like most of them have been playing now since that 2016, and now we go and travel around Asia and play in all these tournaments. People who don't know would be blown away by the tournaments. You go to the Asian Championships, and there's teams from Japan, Bali, everywhere from Pakistan, India, all through Asia, and the majority of the teams are 100% Australian girls, and then there'll be a few Irish who do the
Mhm.
crossover from the Gaelic football, and
Yep.
we rock up with the team full of the Khmer girls. And man, the Asian Championships this year, they went through to the final. They went undefeated through the day,
Wow.
got to the final against Singapore, and got beaten by 9 points or so against Singapore, which is a team full of Australian women who have been playing footy their whole lives. It's
Oh,
it's
really? Wow.
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable and it's one of the coolest things you'll ever see to watch these girls play footy. Is it's when we go to a tournament, we're everyone's second favorite team. Everyone comes to watch the Apsaras. Everyone loves these girls. 5 of those girls made it into the All Asia team. So they at the end of the year, or at the end of the Asian Championships, they'll pick the All Star team of the tournament.
Yep.
And 5 of those girls made it into the tournament's best team, which is just
When you say All Asia team, is this for a specific tournament? Or when you say All Asia team, is this like all Southeast Asian people from South Asian countries come together for a team?
No, it's a ceremonial thing. It's
Oh,
at the end of the tournament, they pick out who were the best players on the day and call them up,
all right.
and they pick a full team. That this is the 15 best players today kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
amazing.
they get a jersey, and they're technically in the All Asia team, but the All Asia team doesn't play a game because I don't know who we'd play against.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet. Which is a kind of perfect segue into what's going on now coming up. You
Yeah.
have
So
something very, 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 very cool and very awesome. The AFL Asia Cup.
yes. So, this is all sanctioned by the professional sporting body in Australia, the AFL, the first ever Asia Cup, where everyone goes to play in a tournament, and the Australians sit down and watch, and the locals only play for the first time ever. There's no expats playing. So this is kind of the thing that we've been preparing for all of these years, working on the development here in Cambodia and having them play in the teams and having them get all this experience against the best Australian footy players in Asia. In December, we go
I
and
think I think for those like not familiar with AFL, it's the equivalent of having the Champions League sanctioning an Asians Champions League. It's the
right,
equivalent of that.
yeah. Or
It's a
the
huge,
NBA.
huge deal. Yeah, the NBA sanctioning an Asian NBA, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's a huge, huge deal.
yeah,
And
it's massive.
again, for those who don't realize, who know how big AFL is, it's just it's one of the biggest, well, if not the biggest sport in Australia.
You could
And
probably call it Australia's national sport, I think.
yeah, Australia's national sport. Yeah, Aussie
Yeah,
rules, Aussie rules,
yeah,
and it is
yeah,
it's a huge, huge deal to have them sanction it and back it. And
yeah,
I believe you said like previously they're sending over, or they're supplying all the officials,
yeah,
referees,
yeah, yeah.
everything like
Even
this. So it's
they'll have professional players come over as well and act as
yep,
kind of mentor coaches and maybe commentators or help manage the tournament on the day. Um, and I mean, it's a 3-day tournament, which is
mhm,
super interesting because playing one game of footy or whatever sport is one thing, but being able to back up day after day after you've been flogged
exactly. Yeah, that's a
in the
huge amount of
sun
teams,
all day
and all the teams
is
are coming from like from what, around Southeast Asia or West
all over
Asia, Central
Asia,
Asia.
man, all over Asia. So it's what's going to
Amazing.
be really interesting is
Who's coming through? Who has an
well,
AFL team?
yeah. So the we would love to be playing full AFL rules on a full AFL pitch with a full team because we have the ability to do that. Whereas the other countries who haven't really done much of their local development haven't got that. So the tournament is kind of in a format the the fields have been reduced, the rules have been simplified, and the amount of people who are on the field have been halved. Actually, we're playing 9
Okay,
aside instead of 18 aside. So that works against us. And what also works against us is I mean, what's also going to be interesting is we've got, these 2 teams full of tiny, I say tiny players who are also fearless and have, years of experience
yeah,
banging with the best Aussie footballers in Asia are going to be playing against teams from, Vietnam and Malaysia and Thailand and whatnot who didn't have a development program. So in the last 6 months or whatever, they've gone out and recruited people from rugby and basketball and
okay.
combat sports and volleyball to try to get a team together. So they're going to have big, strong, prime athletes who
But
maybe don't really
the
know how to play.
Upstars will have the experience.
The upsiders will have the experience, the guile, the courage, and the swagger. Man, the swagger you can't beat the
Yeah, for
swagger of
sure.
them.
And this is the dates again. What is it? December, Randy? I completely lost
December 3 till 6, maybe
3 till
something like
6 in
that,
Ho Chi Minh City.
in Ho
Um,
Chi Minh City.
but
Um,
but the problems you're facing, of course, not only is, people are scrambling to put teams together. You guys are in a very good place that you have a very experienced team, and they know what they're
yeah,
doing, and they could
but
quite
none of them have
easily
got
win
any
this,
money.
but none of them got any money. So what you're currently in the process of, you can see right here, boom, 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 boom. You're trying to raise some funds to get the girls
Yeah,
to Vietnam, and it's not just getting them there. It's again like you said, there's no money. It's not exactly a national sport, but it's something that
yeah.
the community is extremely interested in building.
As an
So
interesting
what
side
what are
note,
you looking to do?
the former information minister actually shared, the Cambodian information minister, the infamous Kukanyaret, lover of KTVs and affiliated activities, actually shared a story about us today. So I wonder if it was in the
Amazing.
brilliant Khmer Times the other day. He's shared that story. So I wonder if that will get us any traction. But the problem is, Luke, the club was built, as I said, as a bunch of Australians,
Yeah.
mostly just as a social kind of thing. And we always wanted to provide the sport for free to Cambodians.
Yeah.
When there was 20 Australians and 5 Cambodians, that was easy. These days, you go to a training session, and by the way, anyone who wants to play is welcome to come and have a kick at training. Go to a training session these days, there might be 60 people there, and 10 of them might be Australians, and 50 of them will be Cambodians. And
Yeah.
we still stick to our plan of providing access to the sport for
It's
free.
free for the locals. Yeah.
And it remains true that most of our players, probably 90% of our Cambodian members, still come from Stung Min Che and still come from those communities where, life is a bit tougher than most of us have
Yep.
had to deal with. So we need the club needs a new financial model, that's for sure. We need to find a new way to get sponsors, which is a bit tricky because we're not a registered charity or association or anything like that, even though we function pretty much the same as a charity.
Mhm.
So yeah, now that there's so many Cambodians and there's not enough expat members paying membership fees to
Yeah.
support the rest of the club, we really need help to get this on, and we do realize that we need a new financial model, and we're working on that as well. But in the meantime, like we've got a month now to raise. It's 30 people going to Saigon for 5 days. Now we got on the
Mhm.
bus. We're not flying, and we stay in dormitory kind of
Basic
accommodation, and
accommodation. Yeah.
and we eat whatever we can get our hands on, as long as it's rice. Because if there's no
Yeah.
bloody rice on the match morning, you want to see the carry on from the players. Some of them will refuse to play if there's no rice. See the faces when they rock up at the breakfast and there's only noodles and omelets, no rice,
Oh
no
no.
power. Man,
I
it's
suppose, yeah,
hilarious.
them, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
In
it's
Vietnam as well, yeah, it's yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Vietnam, there's rice,
Uh,
but um, these are
no, but for
highly
breakfast,
tuned
it's more
athletes.
likely like a noodle soup, to be honest, and yeah, but anyway.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no,
you've got a
not for
month
these
to
guys.
raise funds to get everyone over there. And it's just the girls' team? It's
It's the
just the
girls and the boys, the men and the
and the
women.
boys.
Yeah, are both playing in the Asia Cup where
It's
there's no
cool.
expats. So we've recently just picked the teams and posted some graphics with the teams. With a few people upset, 15 men and 15 women very happy. Um, and yeah, we're trying to get together a bit of cash to get us through the end of the year and to this tournament before we can work out how we're going to get through next year. Um,
Which I'm sure you will, but just for everyone, maybe you're listening, and you can't actually see, but here below me, you can see mycause.com.au, and if you go on mycause.com, I'm sure you can just search "Help Get Cambodia to the AFL Asia Cup," and you'll be able
yeah,
to donate via there. I'll put everything in the comments below as well.
yeah, I will
So
absolutely hammer the comments with cool stuff, Luke.
hammering the comments. But, I suppose, so, I mean, this is incredible. I think it's amazing that it started as a small kind of community outreach, like, "Do you wanna play a bit of AFL?" and now you've actually got the AFL sanctioning a cup here in Asia,
Yeah,
which is amazing. How
yeah.
did that how did you get to there? Did you take the first steps with the AFL, or did they approach you, or who kind of got the ball rolling?
I think that in around 2016, the same time that the AFL women's started in Australia, which is the
Mhm.
professional women's league started, which is the same time
Yeah.
we launched our women's team. And I think around that same time, the AFL in Australia, because it's very much a only Australia sport, really, or
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah.
and they started to look around the world and try to grow the game internationally, similarly to
Okay.
what the
What's
NBA
Kumkamais
did
doing right
20 years
now?
ago,
Exactly what's
or what.
happening with Kumkamai at the moment. I mean, we're
Yeah,
actively the federation's actively looking for countries that are because there are you'd be surprised, there are actually a lot of people who have lived here, be them expats or be them Khmers, who have, immigrated overseas, and they've started a club, a Kumkamai club.
right.
There was a small club in Russia that was developed. This guy who only spent time in Cambodia, and he
Ooh.
developed a Kunkumai club in Russia, you know what I mean? Which is awesome. So at this moment in time with the sport, it's a lot of this going on, like, how do we expand the sport? Which
Yeah, I
very
get
similar to
it's
what AFL did.
another part
Yeah.
of globalization, right? Everyone trying to
Yeah.
grow and globalize. And another little link that we have with the AFL, the professional body in Australia, which I would like to just mention quickly, is we also got a grant off them, which allows us to do this. It's called Kick to Kick, which is a program where we go to schools and children's homes and NGOs. Oh, there it is. How good are you? And basically, what this is, we've got some of our players, our Cambodian players, have done coaching courses and now know how to do the basic coaching stuff. And so, if any school or NGO would like us to come in and either take over their PE class or add a PE class or do some weekend sports with the kids, we do this for free. So
Amazing.
we get a chunk of cash off the AFL in Australia, which we then use to train up our young players as coaches, and then also pay them a small salary to do this coaching in schools thing, which allows. This is a beautiful story. One of our superstar players was able to, when they come from these difficult communities, and most Cambodian kids actually, when they go to, as soon as they can go to work, their parents expect them to
Yeah.
send some money home, right?
Expect to do a
Um,
bit of work. Yeah.
we've got a couple of our Cambodian players who otherwise would have to go to work, but are able to take a small salary from this grant, go into schools and NGOs and do these coaching programs, and then study at university. And Srey Meek just graduated from fine arts off the back of
Hey!
this, which is so super
Go
cool,
on, sister. Amazing.
Yeah. Um,
This and Kick the Kick, so I'm gonna put it back up here. Um is available to anyone here in Phnom Penh,
yep. If
as
anyone
in, sorry,
wants, and
schools,
yeah,
organizations, things like this.
and it's free. It's free. It's free. We will come and you can tell us when we can come and we will do sport with your kids. And it's not just sport, it's like, it's fully inclusive. So it's girls as much as it's boys. And
Amazing.
they learn about leadership and teamwork, and they learn communication skills and responsibility, and of course there's fitness and ball skills and everything is involved as well. And we're happy to come and do it at anywhere. At the moment, we do it with
That's
CCF, the
awesome.
Cambodian Children's Fund, and
Yeah.
ASPECA.
Yep.
And we've also been in the AISPP, Mums Against Poverty, and some of the kids who our first school was Mums Against Poverty, which is an NGO across the river from Phnom Penh. Some of the kids
Mhm.
who are from that first crew are now playing in the senior
In
team. So
Yeah, awesome,
yeah,
man. I have
one
got
one of
another
the
picture.
girls has
I've just
gone.
lost it of one of the kids throwing a ball. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, I mean, it's so are you kind of, to promote this, the picture that I saw, I've lost it now, but the picture that I saw, it seemed like it was in a like a promotional kind of place to promote the activity or promote this. What are you doing at the moment to kinda get the word out for Kick to Kick to, organizations
right.
and schools?
At the moment, not much at all. Actually, I mean, that's kind of my job, and I have been a bit slack on it recently. But those pictures that you would see, we often get invited by the Australian Embassy to come to their events, and
Okay, that would have been the
you
embassy.
know, they have big open days or whatever, and then we turn up in our gear and with all of our stuff and our balls and a
Yeah, yeah.
target, and we play a few games, try and get the kids interested, and also promote this program that we've got.
Yeah, and it feeds like you said, they're in the senior team now, it's feeding the next generation and, bringing them interest.
Yeah,
Again, I mean, again, to go back to Kunkumai, I mean, Okna Srichantorn, he just, built a huge, huge Kunkumai gym in, it was Sister One High School, or maybe it was, near Riverside. But again, this is off his own back. Again, like AFL have done to build, AFL here, just to promote in the young generations. Because if they're not interested when they're young, I mean, you struck gold when you loads of people just showed up, be like, "Yeah, play some AFL." But again, with like
yeah,
most things, if it's not new, you've got to build that interest from a young age. Otherwise, you're just not going to
yeah.
participate. They're going to sit on their iPhones and play Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still some kids who I reckon tell their parents or their whoever looks after them at the children's home or whatever, "Oh, we're going to the footy training." There's still one or two who sit in the stands and just play their iPhones. But,
Yeah, fair enough. It's always gonna happen, man. It's always gonna happen.
yeah,
But at least they're just not sitting at home.
yeah, at least they're getting a
At
bit
least
of,
they're not just sitting
that fresh Phnom Penh air.
exactly, and getting a bit of just being a spectator of sports. It's not
Yep,
watching on their phone, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
again, so if anyone wants to donate, they can go to mycause.com.au and, search
yeah.
"Help Get Cambodia to the AFL Asia Cup." And again, it's
Or
only
if
it's literally 4 weeks, just under 4
yeah,
weeks.
yeah, or you can just get on Facebook and just look for Cambodian Eagles Football Club and you'll find us. It should be all over everyone's Facebook at the moment because we've just had a fair bit of promo stuff getting pushed out. Um, we also have another program that's kind of it's called Cambo Kick, and it's for kids aged like 12, 13, 14, and it runs every Saturday morning. And that's got a lot of Aussie kids in it, and also some Cambodian kids. But that's a kind of a lead up. We've got the schools program, then we've got
Yep.
Cambo Kick for those kids on Saturday, and then we also now have a 2-team domestic league, which serves as a kind of a step ladder or a stepping stone to the playing in the big national team. Um, and then you come to a training session on a Thursday night now, and there'll be everything from 5-year-old kids to 50-year-old Peter Koki, club president.
And where do you train? If they wanna just come along and just jump in, if anyone wants to come along, where
Yeah,
do
we
they
train
find you?
at Bong Chabak School on
Okay,
it's on Monivong Boulevard, just south of the Masitong stop. Just south of the Masitong stop on Monivong.
I love how you speak in broken English and giving us hand gestures.
Well, yeah, that means
Mousy tongue,
stop,
stop.
stop bako, just past stop bako.
Chop, chop, mousy tongue. Yeah,
The last
awesome.
resting place of
I
Dr. Kem Lay.
I would come along, but I just can't get my face smashed in, to be completely honest. Just can't do it. I can't go I can't get in the ring with a black eye. And then of course, when all my colleagues will ask, like, "How did that happen?" I'll be like I have to say, like, "It was
Sparring.
a Khmer girl."
Yeah, one of the
Get
Apsaras
get
got
me
me.
down, you know what I mean? One of the Apsaras took me down.
Yeah.
But this is awesome, man. So if this all goes well, which I'm sure it will, what's the plan next year, for AFL Cambodia?
Um, the
Where do you
plan
go
next
from here?
year,
Where do we go now?
we go back to the drawing board and work out how we're gonna fund the bloody thing.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, and then back. I mean, every year we play home and away games against Vietnam. We play games against Thailand. We often go on an Anzac Day trip. Last year or this year, we went to Kanchanaburi in Western Thailand and played Thailand and Indonesia over there, which is like a big
Oh wow. Oh
war. There was a battle there, and there's an
yeah.
Australian war cemetery there, and all this kind of carry on. And then we play the Indochina Cup, which is a 4-5 nation tournament every year, and then the Asian Championships, which has 10, 15, 20 countries at it, and we will train every Thursday. And also, I mean, I should give a shout out to the GAA boys, the Irish, the Irish football
Yeah,
team
man.
Yeah, a lot of the we share a lot of players, and actually we do a lot of the organisation together. That's only a rare kind of section of the
The girls just
Cambodian.
went to Ireland not long ago, hey.
Yeah, the girls and the boys. The girls are just a bit of the fan favorite, but yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of the same players that play Aussie rules also play Gaelic football, and yeah, they went to Ireland. Well, I went as well. We went last
I
year to Derry to play
Oh,
in the World
yeah, I
Championship.
remember seeing the videos, bless them all getting off the plane just freezing,
Yeah,
freezing to death. It was a
you should
big
have
change
seen
in temperature.
the almost riot on the I think it was the second day of the tournament because there was no rice in the tent where
Oh,
the
no.
players all get to eat for free and there's this massive buffet and we'd warned them
Yeah.
ahead of time that our players must have rice. And then I think there wasn't on the first day, and then on the second day there wasn't again, and we had to go and say, look, if there's no rice, there's going to be a fucking riot here. And then they've come back with a big like some big silver Bain Marie trays full of rice and put them in this big marquee where all the players were eating. And our players, bless them, have come marching out with the rice out of the thing onto the
Oh,
grass
man.
and sat down, and everyone's just hammering into the rice. And of course, we went well that day.
Amazing. Alright, cool. Randy, thank you so much for joining me today. We'll have to wrap things up for today. But again, for anyone who wants to support the cause, go on mycause.com.au, help get Cambodia to the AFL. Before you go, mate, before we finish up, is there anything you want to finish with?
I wish I had known you were going to ask me that because I definitely would have thought of something good.
All
No,
good.
I don't. But there's
Mate,
heaps of
it's been a
info
pleasure.
online about the
Yeah,
Eagles. If anyone wants to about the footy, if anyone wants to find out about it, Google us and you'll find some stuff pretty quick. And I can say that not a dollar of your money will go anywhere except for helping those kids get to this tournament. This is not the UN. This is not the Red Cross. This is the
yeah,
Cambodian Eagles, and all the money goes where you want it to go.
right there. Mate, thank you so much, Randy. It's been a pleasure. I will see you very soon when you get back to the kingdom.
See you, buddy. Cheers, man.
Okun, thank you so much, dude. Peace, brother.
Peace.
Okun Sharan, thank you to everyone for joining us for another pop, and especially a massive thank you to Randy for joining this week for another pop, episode 12. I'll be back next week for another round of pop cast. Thank you very much, guys. Again, I'll see you next time. Okun Sharan, Lihai, Somnangla.